Welcome to the first lecture on KAS MAINS. So this PDF contains, it starts with the syllabus, then the exact wordings of the syllabus, examiner's perspective. We will start explaining with the core concept. It will be covered, basic definitions and explanations are given. Then we will include charts wherever required. Then the same way, wherever there is a comparison needs to be studied, we have the tables coming up. At the same time, we also have the Karnataka linkage to these topics because we are mainly focusing on KAS. Then we also have last 18 months current affair related questions or the focus areas that needs to be studied. Then we also have probable KPSC questions that can be asked, then a model answer for one of the questions, and if needed we'll take up more. Then at the end we have a revision capsule. Then we have a small mnemonic if needed, we can use that also. Let us start with the first lecture, that is, I'll just read the syllabus for you. This is the GS1. See, every page has the subject code GS1 Unit 1 first. In that, Indus Valley Civilization, distinction between Indus civilization and the Vedic civilization, evolution of Varna Jati system, then the emergence of religious movements. See here, the KPSC, unlike UPSC, targets foundational unit to test the aspirants' grip on socio-religious transitions that shaped Indian subcontinent. See, even today, these are the core reasons why Indian society is there as today as it is there today. See, analytical contrast between urban and the pastoral systems, then the institutionalization of social stratification. This summary is based on the PYQs that has been asked in this topic. Okay, so let's start with the Indus Valley civilization, origin, character and the urban architecture. You only have to study only this. If you are studying only this, you will be able to gain maximum marks. That is possible, means whatever they can give, that much full marks you can actually gain. So IVC, I'll take highlighter. Indus Valley civilization is in short IVC, representing the Bronze Age proto-history of India, flourished primarily along the Indus and the Ghaggar Hakra river valleys. Okay, understanding its origin requires analyzing transition from early pastoral agricultural villages to highly sophisticated and urban centers. As per standard historical texts, like this is one reference is being given, like Nitin Sangania's ancient history references. Civilization evolved through the 4 distinct phases pre-Harappan. So this is represented by Mehergarh. Early Harappan, see Amri, Kot Diji. Then the mature Harappan, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Kalibangan, Dholavira. Then the late Harappan is Rosdi, Rangpur. These are the places. I suggest you to watch out for a map, but when you are writing it in the mains answer, you can also paint this picture. I mean, you can also draw the diagram of the map of India as a simple like this and then mention these places. Okay, yeah, this is not proper. So theories of there are several theories of its origin. One is foreign diffusion theory, which is early colonial historians postulated that IVC was a colony of Western Asian Mesopotamian civilization. So this is by early colonial historians. They argued that the ideas of urbanization drifted eastward from Tigris and the Euphrates valleys. So Tigray is here. African civilization towards eastwards, means this side, so they have come to India, is what colonial historians has to say. So this theory is now rejected by modern archaeologists because there is a unique town planning is there which is not found anywhere else. Okay, this is a different town planning. So there is no direct cultural dependency or architectural dependency on Mesopotamia. There is then indigenous evolution theory advanced by the modern scholars like A. Ghosh and Dilip Chakravarti. This is like a consensus model shows gradual organic transformation of the indigenous Balochistan Neolithic settlements like Mehergarh, then early Chalcolithic cultures like Soti Siswal, culminating in the urban maturity. Now, town planning and this is important, that is just an introductory. Hallmark of the mature Harappan phase is the flawless town planning indicating a highly centralized municipal authority. Citadel, the lower town. This is the citadel. This is higher citadel. Then this is the lower town. Okay, citadel and the lower town. This is citadel and the lower town. Cities were generally divided in two parts. The Acropolis citadel was built on the elevated mud brick platform to the west. Then the housing it houses public buildings, administrative offices, and the ruling elite. The lower town lay east, featuring gridiron pattern and the streets housing common citizens, artisans, and the merchants. Grid pattern and the construction materials. So grid pattern is this. Streets cut at the right angles, dividing the city into rectangular blocks. The primary building material was standardized kiln burnt bricks with a uniform ratio. So this is important. So 90-degree kiln burnt bricks, then 4:2:1 is the length, breadth, and the thickness, providing superior structure integrity compared to the sun-dried bricks of the contemporary civilization. So usually the other contemporary civilizations used to burn them with the sun, but this is kiln burnt is like basically they are putting all the bricks in one place, then putting burning material inside like husk and all, then they light the fire, then the whole bricks keep burning. So this gives a structural strength to the bricks. Then so that is superior compared to sun-dried bricks. Drainage system, IVC boosted an unparalleled sanitary engineering framework. Every house had an individual courtyard and the bathroom connected via terracotta pipes. Terracotta pipes are like mud pipes. Okay, these are like mud pipes. Even today we could see them cement pipes to convert to covered street drain. The main drains were equipped with the corbelled brick arcs and a regular inspection of manholes, cesspits for cleaning. All this was used to be done. Then public buildings, landmark structures include a great bath at Mohenjo-daro, a large rectangular tank with a bitumen plaster waterproofing, likely used for ritualistic bathing, and the massive granaries. These are like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, featuring raised platforms and the air vents to prevent grain spoilage. Then dockyard at Lothal deserves. This is the dockyard mentioned here, sophisticated tidal engineering marvel connecting the city to the urban sea via Sabarmati River. Okay, this is Sabarmati River dockyard of the Lothal. This has to be remembered. See, one public buildings. This is a great bath at Mohenjo-daro. Then it is made up of, this is made for ritualistic bathing, and the massive granaries, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. These two places it's being found. See, great bath at Mohenjo-daro. Then the tanks means this is for ritualistic bathing. then granaries at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, then dockyard at Lothal. This is connected to, the Lothal is connected to Sabarmati River. Then mentions a sophisticated tidal engineering marvel connecting the city to Arabian Sea via Sabarmati River. So this is Sabarmati, Lothal, it's connected. Then we have a city layout. Western side we have a citadel, elevated platform. Then we have down administrative units, great baths, central granaries. The eastern lower town, it has the residential and commercial areas. Now then grid street pattern, this contains grid street pattern, courtyard houses, then brick line drains. Then the theories of its decline, how it has declined. Aryan invasion, ecological and hydrological shifts, drying of the Saraswati River. This is proposed by Mortimer Wheeler. So Wheeler is an important personality. You should read more about him. Suggesting a violent end by invading Indo-Aryan tribes. So Aryans, in turn, it also suggests that Aryans are the predecessors to the Vedic civilization. Okay, so there was then Aryans, Dasyus and Dasas. Dasyus are indigenous people. Dasas were the masters. These are control men, and the Dasyus were the enslaved persons, like local one. Ecological and hydrological shifts. So this is Robert Rakes and the H.T. Lambrick suggested that the catastrophic tectonic uplifts causing changes in the courses of the Indus River and the massive flooding of the terminal aridity. This is like catastrophic tectonic uplifts. Here it is also tectonic plates are connected some in the here. The Himalayan region is also connected by tectonic plates. Indo-Gangetic plain, and then Himalaya. This is the Eurasian plate. Are merging here. So this is one. This could be one of the reason is cited by Robert Rakes. Drying of Saraswati is another. Historian Gurdeep Singh argues that the gradual desiccation of Ghaggar-Hakra river system disrupted the agricultural backbone, triggering deurbanization and the eastward migration towards Ganga Yamuna. So, in all, we could see three reasons. One is Aryan invasion theory, wherein invading Aryans have defeated and colonized the existing native Indus Valley civilization. This is given by its name is important, Mortimer Wheeler. Then it is being contested. So you should mention about this also. The ecological hydrological is proposed by Robert Rakes and the H.T. Lambrick. Suggested the catastrophic tectonic shifts. This is a ecological and hydrological shifts. The drying of Saraswati is different from hydrological shifts. Okay, hydrological shifts is the Indus Valley has turning its course, but drying of Saraswati is receding of the river water. So environmental historians like Gurdeep Singh, he argues that the gradual desiccation of Hakra Ghaggar river systems. So that they migrated to Ganga Yamuna Doab. This is what he has to say. So with this we completed the first topic. Second topic, distinction between Indus Valley civilization and the Vedic civilization. We'll just directly go to the table. Now chronology, Indus is of course is the first one, and you should mention 2600 to 1900 BCE. These are the rough estimates. from, so 1500 BC, it's not like the end of this included beginning of this, not like that. Vedic civilization started, but from 1500 it's more declining phase has started. So it's started in its ascendance from 1500 onwards to 600 BCE. Now BCE, you know, right? BCE 0 is the AD. No, CE is the common era. Before common era is the BCE. Common era starts from 0, wherein Jesus Christ's birth take place. After that we say common era CE. Then before Jesus Christ we say BCE. So as we go this side, the numbers increase. As we come this side, the numbers also increase. So from 0, the directions from this side increase, but here it increases for this side. So which means when we say 2600 BCE, we are essentially going starting from here to coming towards the 0, towards 1900 BCE. So again from 1500 BCE to 600 BCE, we have not even reached the 0th line, that is Jesus Christ's birth. Next, socio-spatial nature. So preeminently there were urban cities, the municipal codes and international trade networks they had. So essentially there are rural, pastoral, settled agrarian villages emerged in the later Vedic phase. Here economic core is based on trade, craft specialization, manufacturing, beads and all these things. Then primarily here Vedic civilization is mainly based on the cattle rearing, early Vedic shifting to iron aided agriculture. So metallurgical profile here, IVC people had copper, bronze, iron was entirely unknown. So this is important fact. Iron was unknown. So here, unlike Vedic people knew Krishna Ayas, termed as Krishna Ayas, iron. Ayas is attraction. Krishna means black. Even Krishna, sometimes Krishna Shile they call, which means black. Ayas means Ayaskanta in Kannada they say. So which means to attract. So black attraction used to iron filings used to be attracted to the magnet. So alongside copper they knew extensive use of iron. So iron was never known to metal these people IVC, but the gold silver was very much well known here. So animals, the oxen, buffaloes, elephants and the humped bulls. So however horse was not central animal, rare animals so bones are also disputed, but horse is not a part of the animal. So Ashwa was there, horse and warfare, mobility, religious rituals like Ashwamedha. It was pretty present in the Vedic civilization. So religious practice, iconographic, zoomorphic. Zoo is worship of animals. Then icons they used to worship. Pashupati seals, mother goddess icons, phallic yoni. Phallic is phallam, is linga. Yoni is yogi. Yoni and phallic is like a full-fledged linga. Okay. Yoni this is the Shivalinga. So no temples found, but here aniconic, ritualistic and sacrificial it used to be, but the later and all it turned into this is early Vedic especially. So Agni sacrifice, so fire and sacrifices and Vedic hymns chanting, this used to be religious practice. Okay. Then script and literacy, pictographic, but here Shruti used to be there, oral tradition from Guru to Sishya Parampara used to be there. Transcribed much later into, this was into the transcribed into Sanskrit. So social stratification based on socioeconomic status, wealth and occupation. Here Varna system used to be there. Even though the person from lower Varna is rich, still used to be considered lower born. So polity and the warfare used to be peaceful mercantile oligarchy, absence of a large standing armies and the offensive weaponry. Here, tribal assemblies, Sabha Samiti ruled military chieftains, Rajan. Here, absence. See, there was no political administration. So here there used to be Sabha Samiti, then there used to be a head called Rajan. Geographical extent is northwestern India. So Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan. Unlike here, Sapta Sindhu commenced in Sapta Sindhu but expanded into fertile Gangetic plains. Next, evolution of the Varna Jati system. So it's Varna. See, early Vedic period, it from 1500 to 1000 BCE, society was organized along the egalitarian tribal lines. Egalitarian means there is no one person who is head in any terms. So the concept of Varna originally referred to color as a classification or choice of occupation, was based on social divisions were fluid. It was based on the occupation. So division was fluid. There was no rigid division between these two. The mobility was there. Functional specialization rather than the biological inheritance. These are all functional. But then in Purusha Sukta, definitive textual baseline appears in the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda. Purusha Sukta hymn, it visualizes the creation of the four categories from a cosmic being Purusha, then Brahmin from the mouth, Kshatriya from the arms, Vaishya from the thighs, and the Shudra from his feet. So this historians stress that during early Vedic phase, this hymn reflected the fictional interdependence, functional interdependence rather than the absolute vertical hierarchy. So functional interdependence, one is, you can say that mouth, see, mouth and legs. Without legs, the body cannot stand. Without stand, the hands cannot operate. And without entire body, the head cannot. There is no use of being in head. So it is interdependent body. And the same way, head coordinates with the hands, head coordinates with the legs. Head has to be there for even stomach. Everybody is coordinated with the head. The same way, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. This was considered as an interdependent analogy rather than who is higher or who is lower. But then in later Vedic period happened from 1000 to 600 BCE with introduction of the iron implements, the structural economic surpluses, then the territorial kingdoms like Janpadas have come up. The Varna system crystallized into immutable hereditary hierarchy. Why? Because the kingdoms, territorial kingdoms, as soon as when limits to the kingdom is fixed, there should be a limits to the mobility has been fixed, as to the lower Varna cannot move upwards. Then the marriages and sacrificial ceremonies became distinctive and the identity markers of a specialized of each community. The what was supposed to be as act of occupation has become an act of inheritance, an act of accident of birth. So this is where stratification started. The then sacrificial hegemony, it belonged to Brahmins, monopolized the complex sacrificial machinery. Yagnas used to be performed by one and only Varna, that is Brahmins, establishing themselves at the apex. Even though Brahmins, the Kshatriyas held power, but then they controlled by their sacrifices has to be performed by Brahmins. Hence, Brahmins put themselves into the apex of the pyramid of Varna. Then the political consolidation has been with the Kshatriyas secured political and the military sovereignty over land. The economic burden has come to Vaishyas as they become primary taxpayers. Bali Hrita. Tax is Bali. Hrita means the one who gives. So Bali Hrita is the Vaishyas. Engaged in the agriculture, cattle rearing and the nascent trade. All this was done by this is eventually becomes important reason for the birth of Buddhism and Jainism. The Shraman tradition becomes popular because of this stringent classification of Varna. Then the subjugation. This is Shudras were relegated to serving the upper three Varnas, denied the right to Upanayana, sacred thread ceremony, and the Vedic education. Why? Because someone has to be kept to serve these three. So they chose the lowest Varna, that is the subjugation, that is to subjugate them and to make them serve these three classes. And it became very it became seen as the unholy, or all that is negative has to be borne by these the fourth varna, the last Shudras. This is where from this especially later Vedic period is started. Then post Vedic and Sutra period, here transition from Varna to Jati takes place. So during the Mauryan and the post-Mauryan periods, the broad fourfold Varna matrix fractured into thousands of fragmented endogamous units called as Jati, caste. So post-Mauryan period. So codified comprehensively in texts like Manusmriti. Here Manusmriti, that's why often we see some politicians burning this book, because it fragmented the entire Varna into Jati, and this has been justified. I mean, this has been prescribed in the scripts like Manusmriti. See, Anuloma Pratiloma marriages. Here, Anuloma Pratiloma, I'll tell you. These are all kind of marriages, type of marriages. See, hypergamous means Anuloma, and the hypogamous means Pratiloma, unions between different varnas related into the Varna Shankara, that is the caste. Anuloma means upper caste boy marrying the lower caste girl is called Anuloma. This is allowed, almost allowed, whereas the vice versa is not allowed. So when this happens, the child born out of them is called Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara. Sankara means unwanted. So Varna, this is neither belonging to upper Varna nor lower Varna. So this is mostly this is Varna Sankara. This is anti-Varna, means antithesis of Varna he has become. So they are still, what is that? They are kicked out of four Varnas. So they become Chandalas, Nishads and the Sutas. This is the fifth category that is outside these four Varnas. So they are kicked out of their social division, they could not become part of this social stratification. So they are kicked out of the villages or kicked out of the society. So they became Sutaputra. We say Karna as a Sutaputra. Then the Chandalas and Nishads have become some of the present day castes. Portion of tribal assimilation. As agrarian settlements expanded into pristine forest tracts, the entire indigenous tribes were integrated into Brahminical fold, designated as specific occupational jatis at the lower rungs of the social ladder. What is this? This is the tribal assimilation. Tribal assimilation means tribals were left behind and are not touched by this jati varna system. So slowly what happens? The agrarian settlements expands. This Vaishya starts expanding into the pristine forest tracts, because the more they grow, the more their power increases, means the more money they earn. So entire indigenous tribes were integrated into the Brahminical fold. So this is because they have a land and they have money, so they could be integrated into Brahmin fold. So now, as specific occupational jatis at the lower rungs of the social ladder, so now gildification happens here. The shreni we call, Economic trade guilds like weavers, potters, blacksmiths. See, Shrenis means you should know these are the traders. Okay. This is there in the NCERT. So gradually adopted strict endogamy. Then the hereditary occupation transmission happened. Then the localized commensality rules. Then hardening into distinct jatis. Okay, what is that? Which means, see, each uh, like it becomes a jati again. Weavers, potters, blacksmiths, all these people become a jati. They practice strict endogamy. They can marriage only within themselves. Weavers within potters, within blacksmiths. So hereditary occupation transmission is happens. So occupation is transferred from their father to their son. So this is happen. So chronological stratification, crystallization of the Indian caste system. What is happened early Vedic functional and fluid? It was very much metric and choice driven, and the interdynable units were there. Then the high social mobility used to be there. Then the later Vedic, what happened? It became hereditary, rigid. Then the birth-based varnas. Then ritualistic purity practiced, limited mobility. So, but the Sutra Smriti era here, proliferation of jatis. This is very very important. This diagram fetches you good marks. So the tribal assimilation happened, the outcasts and the untouchability happened. When does this outcast happen? This is called Varna Sankara. When Anuloma Pratiloma marriages happens, the resultant kid is born is called Varna Sankara. Some of the jatis like Nishada Jati, then one more. Chandalas, Nishadas, and the Sutas. So let's see what happens at the early Rigvedic phase in the 1500 BCE. There is a genesis of tribal divisions based on function. So occupational flexibility was prevailing. In 1000 BCE, composition of Purusha Sukta happens. The metaphorical formulation of fourfold varnas. See the varna system. Is the took the birth of genesis of varna took place as a tribal division based on the functions. But at 1000 BC, what happens? The Purusha Sukta compiled and it justified this as a metaphorical formulation of the for. This is by nature it has been there. It's not being made by anybody. That's what this become justified. Division has been justified. Then an 800, see, there is a 500 years difference, then 200 years difference, then 300 years difference, then there is a 300 years difference, almost 300 years difference. There are changes and rigidities growing. Okay, then later Vedic tests like Satyaprata Brahmanas fixity of the hereditary status. Then emergence of the ritual pollution concepts. Then in 500 BC, age of Dharam Sutras and the proliferation of the mixed caste happens. The Varna Shankara through complex marriage restrictions happen. So codification of Manusmriti takes place here. Manusmriti is like it is the origin of jati system, wherein that's why we often see the leaders who especially hail from the lower rungs or lower status caste, often seen them being critical or often going in extremes of burning them. This is because it justifies the jati system. And so legal institutionalization of the caste disabilities, endogamy, and the absolute ritual segregation happens. Now, religious condition and the emergence of the heterodox movement. See, so by now we know that rigidities were made out, rigidities were justified through shastric injunction. Then rigidities could have been used by now to subjugate some of the people in the society in the name of Jati Varna. Okay. And being justified through Dharma Sutras like Manusmriti. Okay. Okay. Next what happens? When problems comes, there comes a solution. When the problem is of social stratification, the solution also should be from the social stratification. When problem is from a particular religion, the solution will also emerge as a religion. So here, by the 6th century BCE, socio-religious landscape of the Middle Gangetic Valley was ripe for a transformation. The existing institutional metrics faced widespread criticism, sparking a period of intellectual ferment that gave rise to 62 heterodox sects, most notably Buddhism and Jainism. So there were 62 heterodox sects, of which two were there, Buddhism and Jainism. This all happens in the Indo-Gangetic plain. What triggered them is the reaction against the Brahmanical monopoly, complex, expensive ritualism, animal sacrifices, Pashubandha, advocated by the later Vedic Brahmanical order, had become economically draining for the common populace. So, rise of the Vaishya class in 6th century BCE marked the second urbanization. The commerce and the money lending usury expanded the expanded dramatically. The wealthy merchant class like Gahapatis and Shetty have, despite their economic dominance, were relegated to the third tier. Okay, in the Varna hierarchy, they actively patronized Buddhism and Jainism, rejected the birth-based discrimination. Actually, Buddhism, Jainism, they rejected the birth-based Varna system for the first time. And this has, even though the Vaishyas, the third rung of the social stratification, even though they were very very rich, they were very very disciplined, yet were denied the social hierarchy the due respect that they deserved. So they started patronizing Jainism and Buddhism that advocated for an occupational Jati Varna system, or they rejected completely of the birth based, hereditary based caste system. Now, what is the agricultural imperative is that the expansion of iron plow agriculture required substantial draught animals, which means the Vedic custom of slaughtering cattle in sacrifice directly undermined the economic base of the rural agriculture. So both Mahavira and Gautam Buddha championed ahimsa, non-injury of the living being, protecting the livestock. Have you seen Jains especially wearing mask even before COVID came and we knew masks? The one religion that kept wearing the masks, were very well versed with the mask, is Jainism, just to prevent the invisible insects going inside their mouth while speaking or while breathing. They have tied the masks to their mouth. This shows the highest form of ahimsa that is being practiced by the Jains. To in one of the stories we hear about the Jains being intolerant to ahimsa, means they go to a large extent to protect ahimsa. Is that in Gujarat, what happened? A particular community started sacrificing the goats. So for their festival, what they did is to, anyways, they all are merchant class, means they have a lot of money. They purchased all the goats and made the goats unavailable for the community to sacrifice. So this shows to what extent they can go to protect the life of an animal. even though it is not it is even though they don't eat, eating is different, means far from the truth. Eating an animal is far from the truth. They don't even breathe animals by accidentally. That's the level of ahimsa that they practice. So even Buddha also, ahimsa, he means propagated ahimsa. He championed ahimsa to a great extent. It's being practiced by the followers even today. So this is one of the imperative, is that the Brahminical religion, Brahminical caste often ask for sacrifice of the animals that are very very important for the agriculture. And this could also has pressured them from moving to Jainism and Buddhism. Then there is another fourth reason, is that the desire for simple spirituality. So Jainism, Buddhism did not tell a complex rituals to be performed, or they did not tell complex slokas to be by hearted. They just said the Upanishads offered high level philosophical abstractions, Gnana Marga. Okay. Whereas that were difficult for the masses to comprehend. So people sought direct, ethical, and the accessible path for salvation, written in the vernacular languages, especially Prakrit Pali rather than the elite Sanskrit. So Prakrit is more of a tribalistic in nature than Prakrit and Pali. Prakrit, after that, Prakrit is little bit filtered, means a little bit relegated to become Sanskrit. This is again used by the elite Brahminical caste. That's why it tend to be easy for people to understand Prakrit and Pali than Sanskrit. Okay, so let's see Buddhism of the founded by Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Buddhism offered a rational middle path, okay, Madhyama Marga, to end human trafficking, human suffering. See, the predecessors to Buddhism advocated for massive sacrifices. On the other hand, some sects like Jainism has offered a very very difficult, means self sacrifices. I mean, they had to, Salekana, wherein in Jainism there is a concept called Salekana. At the time of death, means the people voluntarily give up water, means leave about food. They even give up the water, food, everything they leave up. So eventually the energy dies down and the person dies. So this is the process called Salekana. This is to extreme end on one hand. On the other hand, Brahminical religion offered what is known as extreme sacrifices, large sacrifices. This is again a burdensome to the masses. So Buddha neither said not to have practices, nor did he tell make extreme practices. So he gave a middle path, okay, which is called Madhyam Marga. So let's say the four noble truths, Arya Satyas. This is very important. Whenever Buddhism, wherever is asked, you should mention about these Satyas. Sabam Dukkham. Everything is dukkha. Life is full of sorrow, suffering. Dukkha Samudaya means desire is the root cause of sorrow. So Sabam Dukkham, Dukkha Samudaya, Dukkha Nirodha. There is sorrow can be eliminated by conquering desire. So desire is the root cause of, what is it? Desire is the root cause of the sorrow. The sorrow can be eliminated by conquering desire. Dukkha Nirodha. Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada means the path to eliminate sorrow is in the eightfold path. Right? So let us see his concepts of 4 Arya Satyas is that you need to understand there is a dukkha first. Okay, everything is dukkha in this world. You take birth, you cry, you grow up, you suffer, you find a solution. Then see, there is a one example I will tell you. In Bangalore, where I stay, in Bangalore we have a lot of traffic. Okay, means to decongest the government has to expand the roads and increase the public transportation system. Okay, it did it. So as soon as you do it, the more people come and join the Bangalore, and even more burden happens. That's why they constructed metro here now. Means flyovers they have constructed to decongest at some places. Underpass bridges were constructed. So what happens? Even then again people started buying cars because the city has grown up. People started having private vehicles. So it again increased. Now to control the congestion traffic, they have implemented the metro trains. So metro trains, as soon as the metros come, the investors started looking at these metro cities because they are the future. So again the population increased, then proportionate increase in the congestion and the traffic jams. Now what they want to do, they started building outer ring roads, inner ring roads. Every type of trains is started coming to Bangalore. Everything they started, and I'm sure there will be definitely another problem with these solutions. So this is just a material example, but then so Buddha was meant to say that everything is dukkha here, sabam dukkham. So you need to first understand that everything is dukkha. The second thing you need to understand is desire for this dukkha. Desire is the root cause of dukkha. Asaye dukkakya mula. He said asaye dukkakya mula. When you stop desiring, see, you wanted to earn more, so you traveled to Bangalore. So which resulted in congestion. So to stay back, you could have easily stayed back and still lived your life happily. So your desire to earn more has led you for more dukkha. Next, dukkha nirodha. There is sorrow can be eliminated only by conquering desire. Okay. Dukkha nirodha, and how to conquer desire. The solution is in eightfold paths. Ashtamarga. So Ashtangika Marga, which he proposes, has the three pillars. One is Prajna, Sheela, and then there is a Samadhi. Okay. In Prajna, see, altogether Prajna, Sheela, Samadhi altogether summated into eightfold paths, Marga, of which Prajna means right view and the right resolve. You should see in a right way, and the right resolve should be there. Everybody will have resolution that we take on every first of the new year, that I will kill 5 people this year. This is the resolve, but this is not the right resolve. The resolve should be that I will try my level best to come out this circle of desire. Okay, this should be the right resolve. Then the Sheela, the conduct, should be right speech, right action, and the right livelihood. You can still steal and earn your livelihood, but that is not a right livelihood. Then Samadhi. Samadhi is the meditation. So there should be a right effort in a right direction. Then the mindfulness, right mindfulness. You cannot feel filth in your mind and say yourself as mindful. No. Then the right concentration. So just to add these things. Next, um, rejection of the soul and the god. Buddhism completely rejects is explicitly non-theistic. See, theism means, what is a theism? Atheism means it's not like non-believers, just rejection of what is that, the Vedic scriptures and the soul and the god. Okay, authority of Vedas it rejects, efficacy of the sacrifice also it rejects, existence of permanent unchangeable soul, anatthavada. This is called anatthavada. So there is no soul that is existing. So as we say, this is more of a it's like a river, continuous flow of changes. You cannot step twice in a river. There is an essay being asked in UPSC, twice in a river. Do you know why? Because continuously it will be flowing. So as soon as you step out and step in, there will not be a river that was there just before. So every second there is a change. The same way, and the time is changing, the result of the time and the material is the soul. So a soul that is being said as a permanent unchangeable thing, he challenges it and says soul is changeable. It is changing on every fraction of second is what viewing existence as a state of constant impermanence. So he is saying existence, our own existence is a constant impermanence like a flowing river water. So it is a constantly changing. Let's see. So eightfold paths. So four means Arya Satya, and for eightfold path you should remember. Anattavada you should remember. This is all about Buddhism. Why Buddhism and Jainism? Who patronize Buddhism and Jainism? The third rung of the society called Vaishyas, because even though they had money, even though they were disciplined, they were constantly disenfranchised into the third category, just one category less than Shudras. So there is again one more propagated by Vardhaman Mahavir, the 24th Tirthankara of Jainism, is characterized by its rigorous asceticism and deep commitment to non-violence. Okay, I told you how deep their non-violence can go on. There are three jewels. So four Arya Satyas for Buddhism, three jewels for Jainism. Jewels for Jainism. Okay. Samyak Darshana, Samyak Gnana, and Samyak Charita. Samyak Darshana, there should be a right faith. There should be a right knowledge, Samyak Gnana, and there should be a right conduct, Samyak Charitra. Pancha Mahavratas, the five great vows they should take. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Parigraha, Brahmacharya. Okay. Chastity, added by Mahavira. This is actually till 23 Tirthankaras, all the four used to be there. So Mahavira adds Brahmacharya as the fifth Mahavrata. Vrata means vows, great vow. Okay. Ahimsa, you should not be violent towards not just animals or human beings, even to unknown or smallest of the small things. So the Satya. So I see an example of their extreme practice of ahimsa is that they used to walk barefoot. Even today, some Shvetambaras walk barefoot, because at the time of Jaina means Mahavira, the chappals used to be made up of leather. So leather, when you demand, certainly there is sacrifice of animal. So to avoid animal being sacrificed, they just avoided wearing. The demand itself they had cut. They also did not practice agriculture, because plowing field would have killed a lot of plowing field would kill a lot, means a lot of insects, the mud insects inside this would have killed. That's why they even avoided onion and garlic. Onion and garlic, even though it's vegetarian, garlic. One of the reason is they are grown they are the root vegetables. Okay, so plucking them out is actually resulting in the killing of insects. So it's more of like a lesson pass is not allowed for them. So this is the extreme asceticism that they practice even today. So then Anekantvada is very interesting philosophy. Syadvada to address to address everything. See, I'll tell you. Anekantvada means, see, reality is multifaceted. Okay, this is very means very much. It's like a secularism, accepting everybody's views, secular way of handling things. Okay, for this example, I'll tell you. Five blind people are allowed to touch an elephant. Okay, there is a story to explain Anekantavada. There is a story. Okay, so the first person touched the legs and told elephant is like a pillar. The second person touched his stomach and said elephant is like a wall. And then the third person touched its trunk and said elephant is like a pipe. Then fourth one touched its ears and said elephant is like a fan. Everybody is right in their own ways. My 6 is your 9. My 6 is your 9. So this is called Anekantvada. Anta is means end. Every truth has aneka means so many. Truth is multi what is it? Multi trueness of means some word is there. Anekantvada. Then the reality is multi truthness of reality. Yeah, multifaceted and complex. You cannot explain as one way as to be true. So that's why we need to introduce to address and accept truth as multifacetedness. We need to introduce the terms which addresses our ignorance of the truth. So which is why the Jainism introduces the Sadvada, epistemological doctrine of the qualified assertion, stating that all human judgments are conditional and relative. Okay, maybe shayad, that's why shayad they call in Hindi. The word shayad is maybe or may not be. So Syadvada they have introduced to assert we don't know. So that's the truth. Unlike Buddhism, Jainism emphasize on physical penance, fasting, sallekana. I told you, voluntary starvation unto death, and to burn away the past karmic matter, ashrava and bandha, and the achieve liberation, nirjara and moksha. See, ashrava means ashrava and nirjara. The two words are new. Okay, ashrava. Let's say you have a soul. So, for your kind information, they believe that even rock have a soul, but with a zero emotion, something like that. 0 degree, almost 0 degree. So everybody has a soul. That's what they believe. So a soul is attached with the karmic particles. The first thing you need to do to remove the karmic particles to a soul to attain liberation is first to stop the external karma particles coming and attaching to the soul, which is called ashrava. So nirjara means to remove the already existing ones is called a nirjara. So this is called ashrava and nirjara. Okay, that will result into liberation, moksha.
What happened? On 6th century BCE, crisis started looming. So Buddhist middle path attracted people. Jainism absolute ahimsa. This is all self-modification, dualistic jiva, vernacular prakrit core. So vernacular means one of the example is Kannada literature even today. Pampa Janna Rannapanna. These people were Jain scholars. Then the Buddhism, middle path, rejection of self, vernacular Pali core. Then the social egalitarianism. Okay. Karnataka state right. This is Ballari Peakly Hall. This is all there. Women's in Kannada. See, Jain migration framework here. The great Jain saint Bhadrabahu was anticipating devastating 12-year famine in Magadha. So he has led a migration of 12,000 Jain ascetics southward and accompanied by his royal disciple Mauryan emperor. Chandragupta Maurya is also there, deeply rooted in the local. Shravan So the spot where they settled, Chandragiri Hill in Shravan remains an important Jain pilgrimage site marked by the practice of Sallekana. So there even Chandragupta Maurya practiced Sallekana. So people go there to die. Okay. This is like how Hindus go to Kashi to die. Same way. Ashoka. So Ashokan Buddhist footprints here in Karnataka during 3rd century is documented by the direct epigraphs evidence. Emperor Ashoka depicted missionary monk Mahadeva to the region of Mahish Mandala, Mahishmati. It's not Mahishmati. Mahish Mandala presents a Mysuru. So, and Rakshita to Banavasi, Shanta Rakshita. So these are direct disciples of Buddha. Okay. Means expansion of Buddhism in during 3rd century documented by. No, sorry, I think they are not. So discovery of minor rock edicts of Ashoka at Maski. This is also there. ಸೊ ನಿಟ್ಟೂರು ಉಡೆಗೋಳಮ್ಮು ಮತ್ತು ಸನ್ನತಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಗಿರಿ these are all things. Current affairs is like Rakigadi DNA founds continuity. Excavation Sannati and Kanganhalli. Vadnagar and post Harappan continuity. Maritime Heritage Complex in Lothal. This all you should remember. See, the question can be these questions. Pause it and look at. See, critical. We will discuss because it's past 1 hour. Critically examine socio-economic factors of the 6th century BCE related to the decline of the Vedic Brahmanical order and subsequent rise of the heterodox religion. One is Varna system, Manusmriti, all these things you can remember, means right. So you should remember the chronology. 1900 to 1500 BC means 2000 to 1900 and 1500 to 600 BCE. All these things you should write. 6th century BCE. Period of socio-economic transition to the 6th century BC 62 heterodox things will be there, of which 2 became prominent. Jainism, Buddhism, intellectual shift was underlying changes. So what is that? 6th century was, you should write the socio-economic conditions of the 6th century BCE, because agrarians were demanding the iron plows but the Brahmins were demanding sacrifice. Vaishya crisis. Vaishyas, even though had a wealth, they are put on the lower varna. Ritualistic debt kept draining these resources. Pali Prakritic and equality models they have explored. So widespread adoption of the iron plow. Then second urbanization took place with the Gahapatis, wealthy merchants class, Shettis. Second urbanization, Gahapatis, Shettis, these are all third, they were kept in the third rung. Finally, monetization of the economy, punch marked coins introduced unsurely. Shari lending to these the revision capsule is rise core. Okay, that's all. Let's wind up. This is this is complete notes. The eventually we'll come up with more and more videos. Means I'm expecting all the videos from all the topics. Only this much if you remember and write some of these important topics, still you'll be getting very good marks. So practice answering daily. So important aspect of the KS unlike UPSC is that if you write even though you know limited knowledge, and if you know 20% of the knowledge, and still you can cover 80% of the paper. So practice. The important aspect of the mains exam particularly is to practice. There is nothing else. Triple P model you should do. Practice. Don't even read. Actually, just see and write. I'll tell you. Even if you're a first timer, just see and write. Every day you should complete. You know Kanish Kataria. He got first rank in somewhere 2018 or somewhere. 18 or 19 or 20. So he used to practice in 22 days somewhere. So 25 days. He has finished around 25 pens, which means he has practiced full length paper every day almost. So that's the level of practice it takes to crack this exam. The competition is intense. Practice should also be intense. If you want to clear this exam, practice well. Practice well in advance, practice well. And then your handwriting should be very neat. Even though you may have limited knowledge, even though you may have limited information, even though you may have some grammatical errors, unavoidable errors, your paper should be neat. The first impression is the best impression. First impression creates 50% of your marks. The first, second, third pages should be very clean. The rest of the page should have very much equally spaced. So your practice only determines your success. Thank you.